Close your eyes. Imagine a world where the only map was the stars above, and the only clock was the shifting sand beneath your feet. Tonight, we aren't just looking at history, we are stepping into it. But before we begin our long trek across the ancient Silk Road, if you find peace in these stories, consider joining our circle of historians. Subscribe to Boaring Endless Historian, and let the past guide you to sleep every night. Now, breathe in, let the world fade, and let's begin.
The journey begins in the bustling city of Chang'an, the eastern heart of the Silk Road. You stand before the massive stone gates as the morning mist clings to the tiled roofs of the pagodas. The air is thick with the scent of roasted spices and the faint aroma of blooming jasmine. Merchants are loading their sturdy Bactrian camels with rolls of shimmering sky-blue silk. Every knot tied in the heavy ropes is a promise of a journey that will span continents. You feel the cool breeze of the morning, knowing that ahead lies thousands of miles of mystery. The sound of a distant gong signals the opening of the gates, and the caravan begins to move. Slowly, the heavy wooden doors creak open, revealing the dusty path that leads toward the unknown horizon. You take your first step, leaving the comfort of the city behind for the silence of the great wilderness.
As the caravan moves further west, the lush greenery of the east fades into a sea of shifting gold. You have entered the Taklamakan Desert, often called the Sea of Death. But tonight, it is a sea of silence. The sun is setting, casting long purple shadows across the crescent-shaped dunes that rise like frozen waves. The heat of the day is replaced by a refreshing, sharp coolness that settles over the sand. You hear the rhythmic clink-clink of the lead camel's bell, a steady heartbeat in the vast emptiness. The wind picks up slightly, carrying the singing sands, a low, humming vibration created by the wind moving through the dunes. It sounds like 1,000 ancient voices whispering secrets of travelers who passed this way centuries ago.
You pull your woolen cloak tighter around your shoulders, feeling the fine grains of sand beneath your boots. There is no path here, only the stars above to guide the way. The desert feels infinite, a place where time has no meaning, and only the steady pace of the caravan matters. You look back and see your footprints being slowly erased by the breeze, leaving the world as if you were never there. After days of endless sand, a shimmering line of green appears on the horizon, like a mirage coming to life. This is Dunhuang, the city of sands, a vital sanctuary where the desert finally yields to the power of water. As the caravan approaches, the dry, cracked air transforms into a humid embrace, smelling of wet earth and ripening apricots. You hear the musical trickling of the Crescent Lake, a natural spring that has defied the desert for millennia. The camels quicken their pace, sensing the water long before they reach the banks. You find yourself walking beneath the shade of ancient poplar trees, their leaves fluttering like small green flags in the breeze. Local merchants greet the weary travelers with bowls of cool tea and sweet melons that burst with juice. In this small pocket of life, the harshness of the Taklamakan feels like a distant dream. You sit by the water's edge, watching the sunset paint the sky in hues of burnt orange and deep violet, grateful for the stillness. Here, the Silk Road breathes, resting its weary soul before the long journey continues into the mountains.
Just outside the oasis of Dunhuang, the Mogao caves carved into the sandstone cliffs stand as silent sentinels of faith. As you walk toward them, the desert wind softens, and a profound stillness settles over the valley. You step inside one of the hollowed chambers, and the temperature drops instantly, the air feeling cool and heavy with the scent of old parchment and incense. By the flickering light of the small oil lamp, the walls come alive. Thousands of painted figures, Buddhas, celestial dancers, and ancient kings stare back with serene expressions, their colors still vibrant after 1,000 years. The gold leaf on the murals catches the light, shimmering like stars trapped in stone. You realize that these caves served as a spiritual library for every traveler who feared the desert's wrath. There is no sound here except for your own breathing and the distant, muffled howl of the wind outside. In this sacred silence, the weight of the world feels lighter, as if the prayers of the past are holding up the very ceiling above you. You linger in the doorway, caught between the shifting sands of time and the eternal stillness of the art.
The horizon begins to tilt upward as the caravan approaches the celestial mountains, the mighty Tian Shan. The soft sand of the desert is replaced by jagged gray stone and the crunch of frost beneath your feet. The air grows thin and crisp, tasting like pure ice, making every breath feel sharp and revitalizing. Clouds hang low, swirling around the knees of the towering peaks like a white, frothy ocean. You watch as the camel's breath turns into small puffs of steam in the freezing air. The path narrows, winding precariously along the edges of deep, silent ravines where ancient glaciers sleep. There is a magnificent loneliness up here. The only sound is the whistling of the wind through the crags and the occasional crack of shifting ice in the distance. As the sun hits the snow-capped summits, they glow with a blinding, heavenly silver. You feel small against the scale of the earth, yet there is a deep sense of peace in being so high above the world's noise. The stars at night feel close enough to touch, hanging like heavy diamonds in a sky of deepest indigo. Descending from the frozen heights of the Tian Shan, you find yourself entering the crown jewel of the Silk Road, Samarkand. The air here is no longer thin and biting. Instead, it is soft, carrying the fragrance of blooming orchards and baking bread. As you walk toward the city center, the skyline is dominated by massive domes that mirror the color of the deep sky. These are the sapphire-tiled roofs of the Registan, glowing with an intense blue that seems to radiate its own light. You run your hand over the intricate mosaics of a courtyard wall, feeling the cool, glazed texture of tiles that have survived centuries of sun and storm. The city is a crossroads of the world. You hear the melodic hum of Persian poetry, blending with the rhythmic hammering of coppersmiths. As evening falls, the blue tiles turn to a deep velvet navy, and the golden lanterns of the silk stalls begin to flicker one by one. You find a quiet spot near a stone fountain, watching the water ripple under the moonlight. In Samarkand, the history isn't just in books, it's in the very color of the air, a deep, peaceful blue that lulls your mind into a state of total tranquility.
The journey continues to the holy city of Bukhara, a place where the earth itself seems to be made of sun-dried brick and ancient wisdom. As you enter the domed marketplaces, known as taki, the air becomes heavy and intoxicating with the scent of 1,000 voyages. Huge open sacks of turmeric glow like mounds of gold, while deep red sumac and midnight black peppercorns create a tapestry of color. You walk slowly, feeling the coolness of the thick mud brick walls that have protected merchants from the desert heat for centuries. The sound here is a gentle, rhythmic drone, the muffled haggling of traders, the pouring of dried lentils, and the distant clink of a tea set. You are offered a small glass of green tea, flavored with cardamom and saffron. The warmth spreads through your chest, grounding you. The ceiling of the market is a series of high, dusty arches where shafts of sunlight pierce through small holes, illuminating the swirling dust motes like tiny dancing spirits. Everything here feels slow, deliberate, and ancient. You realize that these spices have traveled as far as you have, carrying the essence of distant lands in every grain.
As the sun dips below the horizon, the caravan reaches a caravanserai, a massive, fortress-like stone inn designed for weary travelers of the Silk Road. You pass through a giant arched wooden gate into a wide, open courtyard. The sound of the camel's heavy footsteps echoes against the high stone walls. In the center of the courtyard, a small fire crackles, sending orange sparks dancing up toward the vast, dark sky. Merchants from different corners of the globe sit together on thick woolen rugs, sharing stories in languages that sound like music. You find a quiet corner on a raised stone platform covered in soft, faded carpets. The smell of wood smoke and roasting lamb fills the air, mixing with the scent of the dry earth. Above you, the Milky Way is so bright it looks like a river of silver spilled across the heavens. There are no city lights here, only the infinite glow of the universe. As you lie back, the chatter of the travelers fades into a low hum, and the rhythmic chewing of the resting camels becomes a soothing white noise. The heavy stone walls protect you from the desert wind, and for the first time in weeks, you feel a sense of absolute safety.
Leaving the rugged desert behind, you enter the soft green embrace of Nishapur. This is a city of poets and mathematicians, where the air feels lighter and carries the delicate, sweet scent of thousand-petal roses. You walk into a traditional Persian garden, a paradisa, designed to be a paradise on earth. The layout is perfectly symmetrical, with narrow stone channels carrying clear, cool water that flows with a gentle, hypnotic gurgle. Tall, slender cypress trees stand like quiet guardians, their dark green needles contrasting against the pale blue sky. You sit on a marble bench near a fountain, watching the water droplets catch the light like falling diamonds. The heat of the journey seems to evaporate here. You hear the distant melody of a ney, a traditional flute, its breathy notes drifting through the trees like a soft memory. In Nishapur, the rush of the world stops. You watch a single rose petal fall and float slowly down the water channel, moving effortlessly with the current. It is a place of deep reflection, where the soul finds a moment of stillness before the path leads back to the wilder lands of the West. As the caravan approaches the shores of the Caspian Sea, the dry air of the interior plains is suddenly replaced by a heavy, salt-tinged breeze. You reach the coastline just as the moon begins to rise, its reflection shimmering on the vast, dark expanse of the world's largest inland sea. The water is not blue here, but a deep, mysterious slate gray, moving in slow, rhythmic swells that hit the pebbled shore with a soft, dragging sound. You find the spot to rest on a weathered wooden pier, watching the white foam disappear into the dark sand. The wind here is constant, a cool, steady pressure that seems to blow right through the worries of the mind, carrying them out to the open water. In the distance, the tiny lights of fishing boats flicker like fallen stars. The humidity softens your skin, and the sound of the waves acting as a natural metronome lulls your senses. It is a transitional place, a watery boundary between the vast deserts of the east and the rugged mountains of the west. You close your eyes, letting the cool Caspian mist settle on your face, feeling the immense power of the water and the deep peace of the shore. Moving along the coast, you arrive at the land of fire, Baku. Here, the earth itself seems to breathe flame. You walk toward the hillsides where natural gas vents create eternal fires that dance in the darkness, never going out. The ground beneath your feet feels warm, a gentle heat that radiates upward, soothing your tired muscles. These flames don't roar, they hiss softly, like a gentle whisper from the depths of the earth. You watch the orange and blue light flicker against the dark stone, casting dancing shadows that look like ancient spirits. The air is dry and carries a faint metallic scent of the earth's inner treasures. Travelers gather around these natural hearths, not to cook, but to marvel at the mystery of a fire that needs no wood. The warmth is hypnotic, and as you stare into the dancing light, your mind begins to drift, losing track of the miles you've traveled. In the silence of the Baku night, the golden fire serves as a lighthouse for the soul, a warm embrace in a world of cold stone and shadow.
The caravan turns inland toward the great city of Tabriz, famous for its labyrinthine covered markets. You step out of the bright sun and into the cool, arched brick tunnels of the rug bazaar.
The sound here is unique, the rhythmic thwack-thwack of looms and the soft snip of iron shears. You watch an old master weaver, their fingers moving like water across thousands of silk threads. The rugs are a riot of color, deep crimson from crushed insects, indigo from forest plants, and yellow from wild saffron. The scent is a comforting mix of raw wool, natural dyes, and aged wood. You sit on a stack of finished carpets, feeling the incredible softness of the silk beneath your hands. Each pattern tells a story of a garden, a hunt, or a family's lineage. The repetitive motion of the weavers is like a meditation, a slow weaving of time and patience. Here, the world is measured in knots, not hours. You feel the weight of the history woven into every inch of fabric, and the steady, quiet work of the bazaar lulls you into a deep, restful calm. The landscape grows dramatic and tall as the caravan enters the shadow of Mount Ararat. The twin peaks rise like white giants against a sky of bruised purple. The air is thin and carries the scent of wild herbs and ancient snow. You feel a sense of awe as you look up at the mountain, where legends say the world began anew. The slopes are dotted with old stone churches, their dark volcanic rock blending perfectly with the mountain's base. You find a small shepherd's hut to rest in, listening to the distant bleating of sheep and the low rumble of a mountain stream. The sun sets behind the peaks, creating a halo effect of golden light that makes the mountain appear as if it's glowing from within. There is a profound sense of permanence here. The mountain has seen empires rise and fall while remaining completely unchanged. You wrap yourself in a heavy goat hair blanket, feeling the chill of the altitude, but safe in the mountain's massive, silent presence. The earth feels solid and eternal, grounding your spirit as you drift towards sleep.
Finally, the scent of the sea returns. This time, it is the Bosphorus, the narrow strait that separates the east from the west. You have reached Constantinople, the bridge between two worlds. The city is a golden dream of marble and mystery. You walk toward the Hagia Sophia, its massive dome hanging over the city like a second sky. Inside, the air is vast and cool, smelling of beeswax candles and old stone. Golden mosaics high above catch the fading sunlight, reflecting a soft, ethereal glow onto the floor. You hear the distant chanting of monks blending with the calls of sailors from the docks below. The city is a cacophony of life, yet inside these thick stone walls, there is a silence that has lasted for 1,000 years. You watch the ships with their white sails bobbing in the harbor, carrying the goods you saw loaded weeks ago in the east. You realize you are at the edge of a new world, but the echoes of the old one are still vibrating in the air. The transition is gentle, like a bridge crossing a calm river.
Leaving the city behind, you board a wooden galley to cross the Mediterranean Sea. The rhythm of the journey changes from the steady gait of a camel to the gentle rocking of the waves. The water is a brilliant, translucent turquoise, so clear you can see the white sand far below. The Meltemi wind catches the sails, a warm, salty breeze that carries the scent of wild thyme and lemon groves from distant islands. You lie on the wooden deck, watching the mast trace slow circles against the pale blue sky. The sound of the water lapping against the hull is a soft, repetitive shush, a natural lullaby that clears your mind of all thoughts. There are no borders here, only the infinite horizon where the sea meets the sky. The sun feels like a warm hand on your chest, and the salt air cleanses your lungs. For days, there is nothing to do but exist, moving slowly across the cradle of civilization, rocked by the sea's ancient heartbeat.
The ship glides into the misty lagoons of Venice, where the salt of the sea
meets the stone of the city. You step off the boat onto a wet marble quay, the air thick with the scent of damp moss and expensive tobacco. This is a city built on water, a maze of narrow canals where gondolas slip by like silent black shadows. You follow a merchant into a hidden warehouse, a place where the treasures of your entire journey are finally unboxed. The room is filled with the dull gleam of silver, the shimmer of silk, and the heavy, sweet aroma of cloves and nutmeg. Outside, the water of the canal laps gently against the foundation of the building, a constant rhythmic slap-slap that echoes through the quiet halls. There are no horses or carts here, only the soft splash of oars and the distant melodic call of a gondolier. You sit by a tall, arched window, watching the moonlight dance on the ripples of the Grand Canal. The city feels like a dream made of stone and water, a place where the boundaries between reality and imagination begin to blur.
The path leads you south to the eternal city, Rome. You walk through the ruins of the Roman Forum as the sun begins to set, casting long, golden fingers across the broken marble columns and weathered brick arches. The air is warm and still, smelling of sun-baked stone and dried grass. You find a seat on a fallen pillar that once stood in a temple built 2,000 years ago. The sounds of the modern city fade into a distant hum, leaving you in a pocket of deep historical silence. You look up at the Colosseum, its giant arches glowing like embers in the twilight. Here, the power of an empire has softened into a peaceful decay. You feel the weight of centuries beneath you, a reminder that everything eventually returns to the earth. The shadows grow longer, filling the valley of ruins with a soft blue darkness. It is a place of profound rest, where the ghosts of the past seem to whisper that it is finally time to let go of the day's burdens.
Across the sea again, you reach the ancient shores of Alexandria, Egypt. The air here is different. It is dry, ancient, and heavy with the sacred scent of frankincense and burning papyrus. You walk toward the great library's shadow, feeling the soft Mediterranean breeze clash with the heat of the Saharan sands. The sunset here is a deep, bruised purple, reflecting off the white marble of the Pharaoh's lighthouse. You sit on the edge of the harbor, watching the dark silhouettes of fishing boats return home. The sound of the waves is deeper here, a low thrum that resonates in your chest. You imagine the millions of scrolls and the centuries of knowledge stored in the city.
Now silent and still, the atmosphere is thick with a sense of mystery and old wisdom. As the stars emerge over the desert to the south, you feel a deep connection to the thinkers and travelers who sat on these same stones thousands of years ago, watching the same stars and feeling the same quiet peace.
The journey is nearly complete. You find yourself on a quiet hill overlooking the path you traveled, a long, winding line of dust that disappears into the horizon. You look at your hands. They are weathered by the sun of the Taklamakan and the winds of the Tian Shan. Your clothes carry the scent of Samarkand's spices and the salt of the Caspian Sea. You realize that the Silk Road wasn't just a route for trade, it was a bridge for the human spirit. Every step you took was a heartbeat shared with the millions who came before you. The weariness you feel now is a good weariness, a heavy, satisfying weight that pulls at your limbs, inviting you to rest. The world feels smaller now, more connected, and infinitely more peaceful. You watch the last sliver of the sun vanish, leaving the world in a gentle, velvet darkness. You have crossed continents and centuries, and now there is nowhere left to go but inward, into the landscape of your own dreams.
Now the caravan has stopped. The camels are kneeling in the soft sand, their bells finally silent. The fires have burned down to glowing red coals, and the stars above are the only light left in the world. You lie down on a bed of thick, silken rugs, feeling the cool night air settle over you like a heavy blanket. The journey is over. The maps have been folded, the stories have been told, and the long road has reached its end. You hear nothing but the slow, steady rhythm of your own breathing, matching the heartbeat of the ancient earth. The history of the world is not a loud roar, it is a soft whisper, a lullaby that has been playing since the beginning of time. Let the images of the sapphire domes, the golden deserts, and the misty mountains fade into a soft gray mist. You are safe. You are still. You are part of the endless story. Sleep now, traveler, and let the history of the world carry you into a deep, dreamless rest.